Hey YouTube, how you guys doing? Welcome to another video where today we're going to talk about how to develop a fill vocabulary, and then also how to get the most bang for your buck with every fill that you develop. Okay, um, I think it's a pretty important topic because I think we often or many of us, I definitely have felt this way where there's just so much out there. There's so many ideas and concepts out there that it can maybe be a bit overwhelming or even sensory overload trying to sift through all this stuff to find ideas that we like, that fit with how we like to play. So anyway, what I want to do is just kind of give you a step-by-step process on how I personally go about developing ideas. Okay, because really, and the truth is, I think this is the truth probably for most drummers. I myself, I know a lot of different ideas, for fill concepts, but I really mainly use a handful of ideas. It just so happens that all those ideas I can play them a bunch of different ways, but I really mainly use a handful of ideas. Okay, so I think what some of us might get stuck doing is just we'll look up maybe on YouTube, or we find in a book somewhere, or a friend shows us a specific lick, or and then we just learn that specific lick, and not that that's bad, but I don't think by just doing that you're getting the most out of that idea that you could have. Okay, so what I want to do is I'm going to take the paradiddle diddle. Okay, and I decided to go with this because it's really common. Everybody on the planet plays it in one form or another, and it's relatively easy to play. Okay, so paradiddle diddle is just right left right right left left. So let's say that you stumbled upon the paradiddle diddle for the first time, and you're like, "Oh man, I really like this idea." Okay, so this is what you would do first. Okay, let me put myself in those shoes. Let's say I just learned the paradiddle diddle. Okay, so what I would first do is I would just, of course, practice it on one surface just to make sure I can play the sticking, easily. Okay, and then from there, I would start trying to, I would start experimenting with different orchestrations, just trying to move it around in different ways. Obviously, as you do this, some ideas will sound good to you, some ideas won't sound good to you. Okay, so let me give you an example of that. So I'm just going to take the paradiddle diddle. I'm not playing in time. Don't even worry about time. Just take the idea and just start trying to move it around in random ways. Okay, so I'm going to do that real quick just to kind of so you can see how this process would start for me. Okay, so there you go. So I just took the sticking and I just started to try to move it around the drums in random ways. Now, if it's a new idea for you, you might not be able to just do that. Of course, I know the paradiddle diddle, so I've already kind of established vocabulary that uses it. But this is still how I started. So it might be a lot of starting and stopping, but just try interesting ways of moving it around. See if you hear some ideas that grab you. Okay. So from there, that's when I would start fine tuning some of the specific orchestrations that you really liked. Okay. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to show you a few of the orchestrations that utilize the paradiddle diddle that I personally really enjoy. Okay, and then we'll go from there. Okay, let's check it out. Okay, so there you go. There's a handful of ideas I particularly like. Again, I wasn't worrying about time. I was just trying to play the specific, orchestration that I like to use. Okay, so hopefully that made sense. So all those I played are orchestrations of the paradiddle diddle that I really like to play. Okay. All right. So once you've developed a kind of a list of various orchestrations that you like. From that point, you need to decide, okay, now let's introduce time, okay, and determine phrasing-wise, how are we going to play these ideas, okay? And so what I like to do first is, even before I tackle one of the orchestrations that I did, I'll go back to this snare drum, and I'll go, okay, so what are the main ways that I could play the paradiddle diddle? Okay, and you're gonna play it primarily as 16th notes, 16th note triplets, and 32nd notes. Those are going to be the main three. Okay, there are a few others, like you could also play it, phrasing it as quarter note triplets, and there's we could do some odd polyrhythms like 5/4, things like that. But as far as just the most three common ways, 16th notes, 16th note triplets, and 32nd notes. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to play those three phrasings real quick just on the snare drum so you can hear that. Okay? Okay, so once you can play and understand the main phrasings you're going to use, then all you got to do is decide how you want to play those different orchestrations. Okay, um, you will definitely find that not all orchestrations are going to sound the best with every single phrasing. I mean, some orchestrations will sound better as 30-second notes, possibly. Some might sound better primarily as triplets or 16th notes. Okay, again, it depends on the music you're playing and the tempos you're playing as to which phrasing you might use more often. Okay, so that plays a big role. Obviously, at faster tempos, you're not going to be doing playing these as 30 seconds that often, if at all. All right, so that obviously plays a role. But then, I would go through some of the basic phrasings and try them out with some of these, or go through the different orchestrations that you compiled and try playing them in time using some of these different phrasings. Okay, so I'll give you an example of that. I'll do just one of the common ways I orchestrate this around the toms, and I do this one as I do it as sixteenths, triplets, and 30-second notes. Again, depending on the music and the tempo. So I'll do that for you real quick. Okay, so there you go. So that really concludes this lesson. All right, and then from there, you would just tackle each orchestration that you came up with and then try to play it to different tempos using different phrasings and just see how it sounds to you. Okay, again, a lot of this is going to be determined, a lot of what you're going to ultimately come up with or end up with is going to determine on what kind of fills you like. I mean, and that's based upon just your sound, how you like to play as a drummer. And again, this goes back to, okay, how is this going to work in different tempos? I mean, some fills work at a certain tempo range, and if you go outside that tempo range, they don't work so well. And then obviously you have to think about the music you're playing. Okay, a lot of fills should not be played within certain styles or certain feels of music out there. Okay, so there's a lot of factors that kind of go into this, but that's what I would do. Okay, and then so with that particular orchestration I did there, I like that one a lot. I use that with all three of the phrasings, and then from there I go to some of the others. Okay, and I just experiment with again playing them in different ways at different tempos, and this is really how you get the most bang for your buck. I mean, the idea is you want to be able to play one idea a number of different ways, a number of different orchestrations using several different phrasings. I mean, that way you're getting the most mileage out of your ideas, okay? So that's how I would really develop um, your fill vocabulary, or even your soloing vocabulary if you're doing a lot of that, okay? So I hope this helps. And I personally have done this with all the ideas that I play, and I can play my core, again, my main group of ideas I like to use. I can play them a tons of different ways. I can invert them. I can, move them all over the place around the drums in different ways, and that's how you're going to get the most, again, mileage out of your fill ideas, as opposed to just, again, this, I'm not saying this is completely bad, but I mean, if you limit yourself to just, okay, I'm going to learn a specific idea here and a specific idea here, I just think you're not going to get the most out of it. I definitely try to teach and learn by more concepts as opposed to specific ideas. Now here I shared with you some specifics, but and picking up a specific idea here and there's, it's not the end of the world or anything like that. But try to think along these lines. I think you'll find that you'll I mean, you could sit there and almost do a drum solo playing one or two things, and it'll sound like you're playing a bunch of different things. Okay? So that concludes this this video. I hope it made sense, and I hope it helps you. And stay tuned, and I got more on the way. All right? See you guys soon. Take care.